there's this invisible loop of magic that goes through my mind almost on a daily basis, and I want to share it with you guys. And it has to do with joy and inspiration and the importance of joy and inspiration in your life. We've talked in the past a good bit about the importance of your root space, that root chakra, because that is your foundation. And your truth and your love and your connection to knowledge, none of those things can be opened in a truly sustainable way long term unless your root is stable. Because that root you have to have that integritous foundation to build the rest of your life on, which is why most of the time when you're doing healing work or really trying to take on a transformation in your life, you end up going back to inner child wounds or even past life wounds because you're trying to remove blockages from your root space. You're trying to create your stable foundation to build your new life on. And then what? One of the big issues that I find with people who are in this space of transformation is that sometimes they feel drained or they don't feel like they have energy or vitality. And we start at the roots, always bringing in that stable foundation. But did you know that there's a different chakra in your body that works directly with your root, with your sacral, bringing that vitality, bringing that energy, and drawing it up so that it can reach your love spaces and your connecting spaces and your truth spaces and your wisdom and knowledge spaces? Yes, that is your solar plexus. Your solar plexus directly connects with joy, with the sweetness of life, with inspiration. And it's not lost on me how that is your space of confidence and self-identity. This is where you know who you are, what you want to feel, what you want to do, how you transform into embodying yourself, your true nature. We're not hyper aware of what's on the outside, of what we look like or how we sound or how other people perceive us. This is directly just filling your own body, doing the things that drive you, fulfilling your own desires and needs. This is completely about your identity. And you find it through moments of joy and inspiration. Living what inspires you. I've said before, I believe that I grew up to be everything I wanted to be as a child. As a child, I used to play in the bird bath and pretend I was mixing witch's brews because that was bad and taboo, and I made sure that my parents didn't see me mixing my witch's brews because then I'd be in trouble for pretending to be a witch, right? Because that was bad. You weren't supposed to be a witch or do witch things, but that was magic. And I wanted to play with the joy, with the magic, with the inspiration, with all of the unseen things. This is why the word occult holds so much magic, because that means the unseen. The occult things are the unseen things, the things where there's magic and power and creativity, but it's hidden from the general public view or deemed as bad so that we wouldn't tap into the power of it. And so I'm mixing my witch's brew, and then I grew up, and you know what? I make my own tinctures, and I try super hard not to kill plants. I'm really bad at it. I'm really bad. I don't have a green thumb, but I try so hard, and I'm really good at tinctures and teas and things like that. And I used to pretend when I was a child to hypnotize people. Me and my niece, we would sit there and we'd pretend we had a pendulum, and you are now going into the cradle of the moon, and we just talk to each other like that and pretend to be hypnotized. Guess what, guys? Now I do hypnotherapy. The things that inspire you, the things that draw you, are the things that you can embody as part of your identity and personality, not just as a career move, because that's not always true. We're not always meant to build our entire career around things. You know, I'm super drawn to trees too, but I'm not working as a forest ranger because I don't know, maybe I'd really enjoy that, but that's not my career move. I haven't based anything around trees specifically, but I know that I can connect with them There's a lot to nature and nature retreats that I like to do with people. So the magic that you find, those inspiration, those inspiring moments, but it's not just about who you were in the past, but about who you are now. What inspires you now? What kind of joy draws you now into knowing yourself better, into knowing your own identity? And so we know that it's important to be inspired, to have joy, because those things share with us what our identity is, and it inspires our energy to pull up the body. Your solar plexus is this space right here, and your sacral and your root are below that at your hips and your belly button. And so when you're looking for more vitality, sometimes it doesn't always have to come from the bottom. Sometimes it can come from being inspired, and that inspiration, that magic energy, that taste of awaken, that taste of something magic coming from above and from around and from below and all around you, can pull your energy up into your solar plexus, and connecting with yourself, embodying your identity. You then have the action movement to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. And why else is it important? Why do we want to be inspired? Yeah, we've got the energy here. We can understand ourselves a little better. But the reason that we want to be inspired is for self-fulfillment. We've learned a bit in the past about Dharma and your dharmic path, and we've talked about some of the elements of that. What if it doesn't have to be so complicated? What if we don't have to know all of the steps and all of the things it entails? What if we don't have to know what our destiny is? What if we don't have to know what our purpose is? As long as we know that we are fulfilled. What is self-fulfillment? I feel like self-fulfillment is the pursuit and there's a word here. My brain, you guys know my brain is doing the thing. It is the pursuit and the accomplishment. That was the word. Thank you. Whoever gave that to me, thank you. It's the pursuit and the accomplishment of your personal goals, your dreams, your potential. And you know what that is. You know what your personal goals are, what your dreams are, what your potential is. And when we actually allow the magic and the inspiration, and in this place where our confidence lives, where we can embody it as part of our identity, when we start doing those things or working towards those things, taking action steps and then accomplishing those things, we reach a sense of fulfillment. We feel stable, as if all is well. There's also this sense that we don't have to rely on the outside, on outside validation or on our partners, because everything inside just feels so in flow, so still, so stable, so secure. And that's not coming from your lower chakras. That's coming from your solar plexus. That stillness and stability in who you are. Because I'm telling you, there was a time when most of the instability in the collective was coming from the root, from childhood or past stuff. Nowadays, most of what I'm seeing is where an instability is actually coming from an insecurity. It's coming from a lack of identity, because we think that we have to be purpose-driven to know exactly where we're going, exactly what our destiny is, and then how do we take the steps to get there? Your destiny is simply to completely feel self-fulfilled. It's to realize your identity in this life, to know yourself, to be in pursuit of those things that light you up and that make you feel like you're on the path of magic. This is your destiny. Self-fulfillment, by definition, is the development of one's own talents and abilities to the fullest. This is self-actualization, realizing your talents and abilities to the fullest. So if you have a draw towards woodworking, knowing that you can start to make little things. And this does not mean that you have to have a whole shop and sell all of these things, but you can do the things that make you feel happy to do. You can create the things that make you feel happy to create. You can learn that language that you've been feeling in the back of your head you've wanted to learn for the past 20 years and you never have. You can do the hard things, and they're only hard because they feel big. It feels like you don't know how to take that first step sometimes. And it feels that way because it's part of your personal identity. And it feels like this could really change who I am if I did this thing. And you're right, it will. So as we move through the importance of inspiration and why we want to be inspired for our self-fulfillment, for our destiny, for learning ourselves, I want to talk about the different kinds of inspiration. And for you, I'm going to put this in flow. There's many different kinds of inspiration, but for you, I'm going to put it in a flow of 4 different kinds of inspiration. First, we're going to start with the revelatory kind of inspiration. This is where you have a vision. You receive a revelation of some sort. This could be having a vision. This could be going into a shamanic journey. This could just be an idea that pops up in your head that feels like, oh wow, that's the thing. This is what I feel guided to do. And when you have a revelation, when you have a vision, when you have that light bulb that pops up in your head, we can liken this to words like, I see. And we need to deepen that with words like, I receive. And once we receive, then the thing that we see becomes something heart-led. It becomes, I feel called. And that's the first step of inspiration. When you have that light bulb idea moment, I see, I receive, that's the acceptance of it. You have to accept your vision. If you don't accept your vision, what are we even doing, right? That's going to cause self-rejection, self-abandonment, because remember, this is all about your personal identity. If you push your dreams away, even if you feel they're not possible and you push them away, you are denying part of your personal identity. You will not be a whole person and you will not be self-fulfilled. We have to see the vision, however big or small it might be, however absolutely possible or impossible it may seem. We have to see that vision and receive that vision. I see, I receive. And once we receive that vision inside of ourselves, it becomes very heart-centered. I see, I receive, I am called. I am called to do this thing. I have a calling now. And that heart-led place is very, very important. Very important. Because if you're trying to do something out of a place of power, I need to do this so that I feel confident about myself. I need to do this so I feel powerful. I need to do this so I feel something. That need quite often brings us back to our root space, where there's an instability somewhere, or it can continue the pattern of insecurity that's inside of our solar plexus. What we want to do is make it a heart-led calling. I feel called to do this, especially if you feel called to any kind of work that has to do with healing or reading others, metaphysics, anything like that. I feel called, because this should all be about giving back, having a heart for healing, a heart for helping, a heart for giving back. I feel called, a heart-led space. So after the revelation, which is I see, I receive, I feel called from a heart-led space, we deepen that with transformational inspiration. This is the type of inspiration that comes to us in a way that transforms us. So this could be you taking that very first action step towards becoming the thing that you feel called to be, or doing the thing you feel called to do. And these could be very big steps or very, very small steps. But this is where you are learning that thing, right? If your inspiration was learning that language, you saw that idea, you accepted and received that idea, you feel called to that idea. Now we take the next step. We feel inspired, and we're going to find a place where we can learn that. Maybe we download an app. Maybe we find a teacher. Maybe we visit a country where they speak that language. There's going to be some sort of big or small action step that you can do that helps you become that thing. This is the embodiment of the thing. So the words around that come to I am changed, I become. When you have a transformational inspiration, you begin to change. You're making room inside of yourself for that thing. So if you don't have time to learn that language, you're going to have to let go of something that's taking up so much of your time. You're going to have to make space inside of yourself because this is a heart-led vision. This is something that you need to do for self-fulfillment. And we're not rejecting or abandoning ourselves. So we make that space and we slowly start to change, to become. And then this moves into creative inspiration. Creative inspiration is where we begin to move, to live it, to express it. Your creative inspiration is, okay, I'm learning this language, but now I'm going to speak this language. Now I'm going to let it be part of my day-to-day life. I have a routine with this language. I'm going to read things in this language. I'm going to speak with other people who speak this language. I am living this. So your creative inspiration, your creative joy here becomes I express, I move, I live. I am living this thing, this inspiration is living through me. If you think of inspiration as just the idea, but when we allow it to move inside of us and to change us and to become us, that idea lives through us and expressed through us. We want inspiration to be a living force inside of us. And this even moves into healing, because if our inspiration is to do or become anything that requires our body or our mind or our emotions to be slightly different than what they are, then when we bring that inside of ourselves and make that space, our body begins to heal. Joy and inspiration can heal you physically, emotionally, mentally. It's something that heals. And then that health lives inside of us and in our vessel. And then we deepen that even more with our fourth kind of inspiration, which is truth. The inspiration of truth, a truth inspiration. And with this feels like the words, I share. When you know the truth, when you have seen it, received it, embodied it, changed into it, and lived it, expressed the truth, you want to share the truth because you feel its importance. You know what it's done to you. You know how you feel so fulfilled in it and how you've changed. And truth is meant to be shared. Inspiration is the movement of truth. Inspiration is the movement of truth through perception, through transformation, through creation and expression. But inspiration is the movement of truth. But what is truth? There are so many different definitions of truth. We use truth to define the ultimate reality. Quite often it's used in religious ways, like this is the one truth, this is the way. Sometimes it's used in pragmatic ways, which is a huge issue with society, where the truth directly links to what's useful or functional to believe in the present moment. according to the consequences of something. So if I'm in a group and everyone's believing one way and I don't believe that way, that could be unsafe for me. And so society decides as a whole what truth is based on a group, based on consequences of something. We don't want that kind of truth either. And sometimes truth is based completely on fact, where it's raining is only truth if it's actually physically raining, if it's something tangible, if something that we can see with our eyes, hear with our ears, and touch with our hands. But when it comes to magic, that doesn't really work either. But one of the definitions of truth is that it's an alignment between a belief that you have, a belief statement, and the objective world, the 3D world. It's this line. I'm seeing it like a literal bridge. It is a bridge between what we believe to be true inside of ourselves, something that we just believe, and how it relates to the world. The 3D, the human ego. And when it relates here, when we have this bridge, the truth becomes something separate from our desires, our personal feelings, our popular opinions of what's going on in the world. It becomes focused instead on what is. What is. And you know your space, your chakra for what is, that's your third eye space. So now that you've supported your solar plexus, now that you've supported your identity, your self-actualization, your self-fulfillment, now that you've lived and expressed your inspirations, what you are sharing becomes a third eye truth. It becomes something higher. You have your heart-led passion, and now we're up here. This is the space of truth, but what we're speaking as truth becomes something higher. Higher knowledge, higher perception, simply what is. Devoid of what everyone individually believes, devoid of what everyone feels about the things that they believe or the things that is happening. It just becomes what is. And what is for you? When I think of truth, I'm thinking of something that feels like a flow state. Truth, for me, feels like there's magic out here. There's something that can be tapped into that I know for a fact, devoid of my emotion or my belief systems, has changed me. And if you knew me 30, 40, well, I'm not 40 yet, but 30, 40 years ago, if you knew me then, there might be elements of my identity that are still interwoven, that have blossomed and become, but all of the in-between junk, all of the other stuff might be gone. You might notice this is a slightly different person. This person is very different than the person that I knew back then, because my truth has grown. What I know about myself, the magic that I've allowed myself to embody, has grown the seeds of identity, the seeds of self-actualization, the seeds of fulfillment that were planted in me before my birth. That for me is truth, and that's what I want to share. So on this channel, you might see so much of me sharing spirituality, of me trying to inspire you. Our team wants to inspire you to share that truth, that when you take this inspiration, when you take joy inside of yourself and truly embody it and allow yourself to live it in a way that identifies you personally, how your life can completely change, how you can become a completely different person, how you can be the person that you know you are on the inside, the person you want to be. And this really isn't about, putting your current personality completely away and taking on a different personality. It's just about weeding through the gunk, finding the seeds of your true, pure personality, the magic in you, and letting that inspiration grow that so that you become that beautiful tree, that beautiful plant, without all of the weeds and the grass growing over the top of you, without the lawnmower cutting off your head over and over and over again. I don't know why I went to the trees. Maybe that's my inspiration right there. But I know, my truth is that I know that joy and inspiration can help you be exactly who you want to be, can help you grow into your personal identity and your sense of fulfillment. And when you can do that, you don't have to know what your destiny is or even your next steps. You can just be you. And isn't that the truth we want? To just be ourselves fully, to fully embrace who we are? That's the truth that I see. And so on here, we're trying to inspire you. We're trying to bring joy. We're trying to bring hope into dark spaces. We're trying to dance and get you up and moving and to find the spark. Sometimes all you need is just a little spark, and that light bulb just pops on, and you have that revelatory inspiration of a vision that you can receive, that you can be heart-led into, that you can then become and change into, that you can then express and move and live, that you can then share. And the light keeps going on and on and on and on, and all of the light bulbs start going on all over the world. And it all started with inspiration, with a little bit of joy, with a spark of joy. And so we've talked about what is truth and why is it important, because it sparks all these light bulbs all over the world. How does truth inspire us? Truth inspires us because once we know that something's possible, we want that too. If you know that it's possible for you to learn that language, to lose that weight, to accomplish the revelatory inspiration that you already have, then you're inspired to do it for yourself, to become who you want to be, to feel fulfilled. And then that brings us to the question, well, why do we want to be inspired? And it brings us right back to the very beginning of the importance of inspiration. All of these things are in a circle, they're in a loop that will always bring you back to those four inspirations. Revelatory inspiration, transformational inspiration, creative inspiration, and the inspiration of truth. Go share your truth. I'm Mary Colozzo. Welcome home.